Escort girls of Reddit, have you ever been caught by the clients? So, how did that go? Got a call on my phone from an unknown number. I was at my laptop, so I typed the number into Google and hit enter. This was years ago before Google started futzing phone hash searches, and when it didn't load immediately, I went ahead and answered it. Turned out to be a tech from work who needed help accessing one of my systems. I walked him through it, then turned back to my laptop. The top hit on Google for his phone was a Craigslist ad for gay erotic massage. And it wasn't a wrong number. It had a couple months of ad history, and even though there were no face pics, his unusually hairy arms and a small tattoo were easy to identify. I kept that story to myself for a few years, only relating it after I left the company. I told the story at a bar with some old co-workers, not knowing that this guy's wife was friends with one of them. Anyway, my bad. Sort of the other way round, but I found out the girl I was dating was an escort when she texted me instead of the client. True story. Two wives of clients knew about me because their husbands flat out told them, under the sad misapprehension that once they were divorced, we'd be free to have an unpaid relationship. The first time, I was flattered, conflicted, and saddened. The second time, I was pissed off. You threw your happy home life away because you just hope some college girl was going to ride off into the sunset with you? Now I only do 2-hour maximum sessions because I found that clients who book overnights or full day sessions are the most likely to lose their grasp on the reality of the situation. Somehow, sleeping next to someone is more intimate than ducking them, and it makes these men confused. Ex-phoned a Minatrix. On a call with a dude and someone picks up the other line. It is his elderly and disabled mother, and she needs his help to get out of bed. I tell my caller to go take care of his mom, and we can talk more later. His mom thinks I'm his girlfriend, and is so thrilled at the thought that her son has an actual flesh and blood girlfriend that she tells him to finish talking to me. She can wait. I hung up because I didn't get paid enough to deal with that. It was super sad because his mom was so delighted that he had a girlfriend. I never heard from him again. Another caller hated his wife and wanted to be feminized while talking about what a beach his wife was and how disgusted she would be at his sissy desires. Once he got caught talking on the phone to me while literally hiding in the closet. Heard his wife say, "What are you doing in there?" My caller yelled back that he was organizing the winter coats while hurriedly zipping up his pants and hanging up on me. Same caller once tried to send me $500 in gift cards, but the credit card company called him to make sure it wasn't a fraudulent charge, and his wife answered. He managed to talk his way out of that one too. At this strip club I worked at, one of the dancers had a daddy that came in legit almost every day. He actually was good looking and charming. His wife saw his car in the lot and pulled in and tore past the bouncers and ran into the VIP area. They were back there. It came to seconds of them getting caught. She didn't get her tip that day, so he tripled it the next time out of guilt. I worked as a dominatrix years ago, and during those years I had acquired some regular clients. This particular client worked in another province and lived in another country, but all the same was a very good client. He told me that he was separated from his wife. However, when he went back to his place in the other country, she found my dom number, called me. She was asking me who I was and how many times I saw him and etc. It went okay besides her yelling and him pleading not to say anything. I don't even remember what happened after that, but he still remained my client after the whole ordeal. Edit: I do not engage in oral sex or intercourse with my clients. Furthermore, I remain clothed at all times. So I was the girlfriend that caught my fiancé soliciting an escort. I found the texts and the link to the Craigslist ad. His reasoning was we had been having problems and he was never attracted to me. We just got along well. I left after that. When I was pro-doming, I had a great client, one of my favorites. He was this older guy, worked in construction, who liked to be dressed up like a pretty girl and humiliated. This is an incredibly common fetish and easy money. For his 60th birthday, he decided he wanted to try getting pegged. That wasn't something I'd do for just anyone, but we had good rapport and the idea delighted me, so I went ahead and made him my beach for the evening. He loved it. We had a great talk afterwards about how liberated it made him feel. How, as he got older, he wanted to try new things, and how he wished his wife could understand and be adventurous with him. This is not an unusual conversation. What is unusual is that the guy apparently told his wife, "I got a nasty email telling me to stay the hell away from her man." I never responded and never heard from him again. I hope they made it. I used to practically run an escort agency here in the UK. Started off as a driver, then covering the phones, did interviews, the photography and maintaining the website. Had 2 occasions of girls getting caught by spouses, but one sticks out more than the other. Had a regular client who would book a girl for 3 hours a few times a month when his so was on night shift. Not sure why she came back, but she pulled up outside about 1 AM with another hour left of the appointment. As she was walking to the door, I realized who she must have been and got out my car to loiter for when the inevitable hit the fan. We had a policy the drivers would not leave the girls for safety. Not really had an issue, but helps the girls feel safe. Anyway, so walks inside. I hear a load of shouting and make my way towards the front door. Girl busts through door wearing nothing but lingerie and a strap on. We rush to the car and start driving the 30 mile or so back home when she realizes she forgot her bag. We's only made it about 10 mile. Guess who had to go back for it? I turned up. Police there. I knock on the door and have to explain myself to the police. They hand over her bag and clothes and take my details should they need a statement. Let me take girl home, and that was it. Client never booked again, and no idea what happened to them. Police never got in contact with either of us. Can only assume they were called out by neighbors for the arguing. Third party story incoming. I knew someone who began going to escorts. My friend was his GF, and she noticed he had missing hours in his schedule. Apparently he'd lie about being with friends, or where he'd been. I thought she was being insane and clingy, but she finally snapped when a group photo of a work event that didn't have him in it popped up on FB. She asks around. He wasn't at that after work event despite saying he was. So being a sane individual, she hid her phone in his car. She tracks it from her house once he's done with work and is likely up to no good. She sees her phone as showing at some expensive apartment building where the car is parked. She goes there, smashes his window, retrieves her phone then calls him with it. Not sure about much after that, but apparently he had white powder all over his face. Needless to say they aren't together anymore. Edit. In her story she said something like he had white powder all over his face. When she retold it, I can't attest to the type of powder or how all over his face it was. It may have just been nostril crust. This happened to a good friend of mine. Wife had taken their teenage daughter hiking for the entire day and he thought he'd have some company over. Apparently the daughter got sick and they came back much earlier than expected. She walked in on her husband being led around on a dog leash wearing their daughter's panties. Went as well as could be expected. They got divorced last year. Daughter went to my school but left town after all that went down. Edit. I'm a teacher and the daughter attended my school. Sorry for the confusion. I've been stripping for years. Only once, of the hundreds of times I've given out my number, has a wife called me. She was initially angry as duck. Her husband had been sent to rehab for alcohol and drugs. He wasn't working. She was the breadwinner, and he had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on partying. His phone was full of girls' numbers, hookers, strippers, random girls he was ducking. She was going to call everyone in his phone book. My name begins with a yo mama so IDK how far she got down the list. She asked me why I was stripping, and I told her about college and whatnot. She wasn't angry with me at all, but very angry with him. She promised to come visit me sometime. Crazy F. She asked me how much he gave me, and it wasn't much, just a $100 bill for a $20 lap dance. His friends were giving me money too, so I figured I should keep in touch with them. I spent the money on a couple of school books the next day, which she was okay with. Smartphones get even smarter every year, so this stuff is easier to hide than ever, but people who constantly lie can't hide it every single time. Edit. People gotta be weird about stuff. Ex front desk at high-end hotel here. One of my classics. Older couple early 60 walks in fighting. They ask to be checked into their room. We do everything, bring them up to the room. And about 30 minutes later the guy comes back down and says FCK give me another room. I don't want to sleep with that B. And while you are at it, find me an escort. We explain to him prostitution is illegal, so we can't refer one to him. Yet if he looks on the last page of this newspaper he might find what he is looking for. We create a second room for him, and off he goes to his new room. Shift change. My front desk agent goes home and gets replaced by an intern for the night. Girl walks in, clearly an escort. Sorry ladies, after 2 full years of night shifts, we can see most of you coming a mile away. To those who are actually nice to the us and don't give us a I'm a rich guest attitude, thumbs up. We appreciate this. It might save you down the road. But the intern didn't click it was an escort. When she asked for Mr. Smith's apostrophe room, the intern found 2 rooms in the system and decided to just give one. His mistake. FD never gives out wrong numbers. 15 minutes later, I'm sitting in the back office, hear the bell of the elevator, and hear a woman screaming, where is that ducking asshole? He's going to hear about this. My brain immediately clicked, and when I walked out I found the wife, holding/dragging the escort by the hand, demanding the room number of her husband. Yup, the intern sent her to the wrong room. When Mrs. Smith answered the door, the escort mentioned something in the lines of our Mr. Smith didn't specify it was for more than one person. Mrs. Smith immediately clicked. We checked Mr. Smith into the neighboring hotel that same night. He wasn't too happy. I had a very close friend that was an escort for a while. She met a man and they hit it off. He would show her pictures of his wife and children. Eventually the man has the brilliant idea to stage a meeting at a bar with my friend and his wife. The plan was for my friend to seduce the wife. They would have a 3-way and all the guy's dreams would come true. It fucking worked. Not only did it work, my friend became a mistress to them both long term and ended up nannying their children. You can't make this shit up. Edit. Okay, I guess I could make this shit up but I'm not. Also, for the guy asking about the guy's income, I don't know. But I do know he paid for her to get braces, and he paid for a few semesters at the state university. Last I heard he got her a pretty sweet car too. I would be lying if I never considered this as a career path for myself. Obligatory second edit to say that my highest rated comment is about my loose tie into the world of prostitution.